there are more states looking to classify freelance workers in general as company employees. And this affects Uber drivers. We've heard it about DoorDash, heard it about a lot of companies, but it's actually wider than even that. And it's a big deal in California. They have their gig economy law that goes into effect first of the year. So from the Independent Women's Forum, let's bring in senior policy analyst Patrice Leonwuka on this. And you talk about the law of unintended consequences, Patrice. This started off as there was, a law where the politicians say they were trying to protect workers so that they wouldn't be classified as, freelance workers when they were really basically working full time. But it seems like it's actually, according to what we're reading now, hurting some other types of workers, right?
Oh, absolutely. This was a huge dragnet that unfortunately pulled a lot of different workers, freelancers in, including journalists, independent journalists who, may submit, write for different news outlets and websites. They suddenly may see a cap on the amount of stories that they could write for a particular employer. But this is just a signal coming from revenue-hungry lawmakers who wanted to target the gig economy and said, well, if we can't get them one way, why don't we get them another way, which is by forcing them to reclassify a lot of their workers as employees, full-time employees, and that's simply not right.
You brought up journalists, and I was reading about the carve-out that they put in this bill for people who work in this profession, and basically what they said is that you can work as a freelancer, as a journalist. There is a carve-out, but you can only submit 35 pieces to a company, 35 or fewer, I believe. And just think about it. To your point, so say you have a job, or you have a few jobs, and one of them is writing a weekly column, say, for example. Well, already, even if you take a few weeks off, that you're above the 35, right? So those people could be out of luck.
Well, and a lot of them, freaked out, and understandably, because these are ways for you to have a flexible work environment. You're submitting your content, you're raising your national profile, and you're an expert in a particular area. And so what I hate here is that California is setting an example for a lot of other states. I mean, we just saw New Jersey pass very similar copy and paste legislation in October based on this. And so, while I don't like the idea of different industries getting carve-outs out of this, I think it needs to be overturned, hopefully maybe through a ballot initiative where voters say, no, wait a minute, people, stay-at-home moms, retirees, they want flexible arrangements. They don't want to be employees. They want to be their own boss. They want to be independent contractors.
Yeah, we understand the point of how they started here, and maybe some people were facing abuses, but then you end up hurting others. I mean, I saw interpreters and all kinds of professions, which you wouldn't think, boy, now they may have limits on how much they can work. Anyway, Patrice, thank you. It's always good to see you. Thanks for coming on today.
Good to see you too, Connell. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Patrice Leonwuka.